how minority groups actually rely on sympathy and everything that comes with the tagging, about how people are pushed into their echo chambers, about how there's a certain pervasiveness in being a single actor or being the single rational actor in most of these decisions, are things that come when you slap tags on groups. So whether the state slap the tags on them or whether international bodies slap the tags on them, these things are still going to happen. Panel, notice the debate happens as to why they are supposed to justify why international bodies should be the single actors in most of these decisions. It's not about the harms that comes with tagging these guys, okay? Why should we give international bodies like the UN the exclusive right, independent of the states, to slap tags on people? What we are saying is that don't give these guys the exclusive right, and Duke examines to you all of those reasons, okay? So let there be that kind of cooperation or collaboration between them. And even more importantly, it tells you about how in these international organizations there are certain imperialistic structures, and there were issues like with the UN and so on and so forth. It's hard for them to come to a consensus, a general consensus that is very conducive even for all of those countries. So opening government is yet to debate, because all they give us is the harms of tagging, which comes on any other day, whether it is done by the UN or it is done by the state. Panel, let me go on furthermore with rebuttals. We agree. They say states can be oppressive and rights protect citizens. We agree in most circumstances, but then we say states are also set up to protect the rights of the general populace, or the rights of all citizens. We agree that sometimes they can be very oppressive. That is why, in as much as they've ceded a part of their sovereignty, not all of their sovereignty, I'll come to that, a part of their sovereignty to international bodies, then it is a right for international bodies to come in to initiate policies or to instigate policies that better protect minorities. So if you have a patriarchal society, there should be efforts to increase feminism in that country and to encourage that minorities have a certain traction in society. But then when it gets to a point where feminists pick up arms, you tell the government that they should not act because you are yet to slap a tag on them. Meanwhile, they are causing certain harm in as much as their claims are legitimate in the most of circumstances. We think this is wrong. If Black Lives Matter are fighting for blacks to have a certain freedom in the US, but then still pick up arms to do certain things that are counter to the state's policies, then we think that they, in the end, should be tagged with that. The issue of Jehovah's Witness is one side issue. When you use our policy, you come to a rather objective metric. But then they tell us all of the argument is hinged on the fact that international bodies in themselves can be objective. This is wrong on two levels, let me tell you. See, one, they are not objective in most circumstances because Duke tells you about the imperialistic ideals which they have. Number two, and most importantly, we think they have a certain level of globalization projection, which means that at every point in time, their ideas of globalization trumps domestic interest. Okay, so it means they override the interest of the state, and these things are not allowed in most cases. That's why even in some states, they take certain economic models that ensure that they better protect their resources by domestication to ensure that globalization does not eat them up. So states always have a right to determine what is best for them. But then even if the international bodies are very, very objective, I'll tell you why they shouldn't have the exclusive rights to do so. Number one, why the neutral arbiters shouldn't have that exclusive right. Because in most cases, what gives them that credibility is because they do not involve themselves fully in most of the instances in the conflict. It means that anytime the conflict escalates to a point, they are the ones to come and intervene, and they are the last we rely on to act. Therefore, their objective nature should never be compromised by they slapping the tags on the individuals. So if it comes to a point where the international bodies slap a tag on a certain group in society, it means that when it gets to a point where the conflict escalates, such international bodies cannot step in to mediate the two, because they see that the genesis of their struggle comes from you slapping the tags exclusively on them. We think that is very important. We think you should not desecrate the mediator status that lies on these international bodies, and that there should be that kind of collaboration between states and international bodies to do so. OG out of this debate. What is more important is for you to argue how at every point in time there's a certain ceding of sovereignty by nations to international bodies. So it means that there's a certain level of collaboration that should come in. At no point in time should global interests oversee that of domestic ones. And we think this is very important. Number one, because of mandate. The people gave the states the mandate to act in most circumstances. And in as much as they've ceded some of that mandate to the international bodies, they still have to hold states accountable. So Duke tells you, if So Duke tells you, if there's a Boko Haram crisis in our country, and the state say we cannot act because there's no tag that has been slapped, or when we act, international bodies are going to clamp down on us that we are oppressing minorities, it means that the people will continue to suffer. It means you are trying to tell the people to hold international bodies accountable for acts for which the state is supposed to act. We think this is bad in most circumstances. Closing.
Okay, so we actually want to prove to you that even when states can't be objective, we think it is in the position and in the interest of the international community to override sovereignty. We told you time upon time again. It gets to a certain point where these guys are able to come into act. In the instance where international bodies have that exclusive right to tag extremists, when there's a certain conflict between these extremists and the state, these bodies cannot come in to come and override anything again. That is exactly the point which it tells you. So you should be the last one to act in most of these circumstances, and you shouldn't use that legitimacy you have to override sovereignty in most cases as a first stop measure. That is exactly what we tell you opening.
Now, when a mob actually punishes a thief and when a court punishes that thief, there's harm on both sides because that thief is punished. What our case showed you was because there's more objective evaluation at the international level, which is the court. It is much more preferable.
You've not been in this debate. You've not been in this debate because I've told you that all the harms that you talk about are things that come even when you slap the tag on them. And we tell you that there is much more credible and there's much more credibility that comes when there's a certain level of cooperation between the state and these international bodies. Okay, we don't think the whole issue about credibility has already been tackled. I've told you about how even if these international bodies are objective, they shouldn't be the ones to slap the tags. They should be the ones who are mediators and come into act when things escalate and goes out of hand. We think this is very important. We think international bodies can go as far as certain basic human rights appeals across these countries. These are things that are basic and are on the basis of which all countries can act and then build up. That is why there's a lot of human rights issues in certain Islamic states. But then the UN does not go forward to go and tackle these issues head on or to slap tags on certain people. They realize that when it escalates and gets to a point, that is when they're able to come in at the last time. We don't think that all of these things come in. We think at no point should states be seen to be manipulated by international organizations. And Duke tells you about how failed interventions occur because most of the time these international bodies are not in agreement with the states. And we think this is very important. We think imperialistic tendencies and ideals should not be tolerated because at every point in time, the economic and political interests competing amongst the nations and they would like to silence each other. Panel, we've never been proud to oppose. Until governments can come and prove why we need to give them the exclusive rights, they've not yet debated this issue.